Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 227 of At Odds with Wrestling. Joe and Adam here. Adam, hello. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Joe. I'm going to ask you right off the rip the question that everybody is asking. Are you going to get your Twitter back anytime soon?
Well, hang on. You're talking about this now. That might not be the only time you're hearing that this episode.
Excellent.
So as of this recording, when I try to access Twitter on my phone, it tells me that in 9 hours and 25 minutes, I'll have all my functionality back.
Oh, that's like, I don't do math, but that's like early morning tomorrow, right?
Now, sometimes I'll hit OK and it'll just allow me to go to the read-only Twitter. And lately, though, it's been giving me a message that says the server understands the request, but is refusing to fulfill it.
I understand a lot of requests that I refuse to fulfill.
Right. And then when I access Twitter through my browser, the only way that anyone should be accessing it, as you can see here, it says your account is locked, whatever. Most accounts regained full access in a week, but it could take longer. But my phone is telling me that I'll have it as of like, if I do my gazintas, that's like 6:50 tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I need you to get it back because like you keep saying mean things about my broski and then not saying it's you. And I'm worried that people might think that that's me saying it. And I'm worried.
I do my best to make sure if there's anything really mean that I'm saying about broski, I attribute it to myself.
Yeah, no, I know, but there's still it's muddy waters. I'm worried, but
all right.
I'll be glad when At Odds goes back to getting notifications once a week when the show goes up, and then going quiet again.
Well, I mentioned it on After Dark this past week or this week, whenever it is. Maybe you're getting the heads up on this, Mm-hmm. So I was making a joke with Joe Murata of our Vantage Point podcast. He was saying that if I become one of those Twitter accounts where like they'll post like a picture of a He-Man figure, right?
Yeah.
And say like, oh man, if you had this toy growing up, you probably had a great childhood. And then it gets like 20,000 likes, right?
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a account or two that I follow like that, but they like dig a little bit deeper than just like literally anything that everyone ever had, right?
Yeah, or just to stop you right there, whoever posted that thing with like the 5 or 6 different ink pens and said like which pen is the best, and it got like 1 billion retweets and comments.
Right. Fuckers. But I'm a sucker for pens, so listen, I bit, right? So anyway, Joe mentions that if he becomes one of those accounts, he'll never stop punching himself in the face.
Yeah.
And I reply, oh, don't do that. Why don't you run your head into a wall? And he replies, does anyone remember walls? And I reply with a picture of a brick wall and say that if you had this growing up, you probably had a great childhood.
All great bits. I have
right. So we're going back and forth, like making jokes about those sort of accounts, right?
Yeah.
And then a day later is when I get that notification that says, after careful review, we've determined that your account broke the Twitter rules, right?
Yeah.
And Adam, I will have you know I haven't learned a thing.
You went up against Big Wall and you lost.
Yes. Well, it's the Big Wall, brother.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's more of an annoyance than anything else. I tried to make the most of it, like trying to clean up the accounts on Longbox Heroes and At Odds with Wrestling. Unfollow like dead accounts that haven't tweeted in like 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. Unfollow like the weird Twitter porn bots that we followed. There wasn't many, but there was enough for me to take notice.
See, whenever we get like for At Odds, usually if somebody follows us on At Odds, I'll look, and if it's a porn bot, I'll block it. I won't follow it back. And if it's like looks to be a normal human being, I'll throw it a follow.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of them are like Trojan horses, where there'll be one thing,
yes,
you'll give them a follow, and then they'll just change to a new format of porn.
Yeah, like days or weeks later, whatever it is. Yes, yes. But then, like, I unfollowed, like, the wrestling people, for the most part, on the comics one, and I followed unfollowed the comics one and the wrestling one for the most part. Like, if you're following us, you interact with us, you're still there. But yeah, I tried to clean up both accounts while I had some downtime. The most annoying thing is that I can't send direct messages through the browser, you know?
Poor baby.
I have to send direct messages through my phone. That constantly reminds me that, like, the time that I have left until I get my full access back, and then sometimes just goes to an error where it says the server got your request but is refusing it.
It's okay. Just like whatever you said, 9 hours from now, everything will be all right.
Right.
Back business as usual. It definitely will not take longer. I think that's just an under promise, over deliver. I think it'll be okay.
Because last time when I made the thing with Ed, it was one of those deals where it was like, hey, your tweet violated the rules. It's under appeal. You have to go delete the tweet first, but they've already deleted the tweet for me, so I can't do the first thing that they're asking me to do, which is the same thing that happened here. And it was one of those things the first time where I had to admit that I was wrong, and then they gave me my Twitter account back. There was no admission of guilt or lied that I am admitting guilt. It was just like, boom, 7 days, you're out, you know?
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, again, I'm glad that tomorrow things will be back to normal. You can go back to tweeting your Terry Tuesdays from your own account.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Jam-packed show. Let's get to it.
And now, At Odds with Wrestling presents This Day in Wrestling History.
Hey, it's kind of a jam-packed This Day in Wrestling History, but not really. I want to start things off by saying, as we record, rest in peace, Leaping Lanny Poffo.
Yeah, obviously that just hit like maybe an hour or two ago on Twitter, and
it was actually real early this morning. It was like unconfirmed, like Jim Duggan tweeted it out.
Okay.
And then Cauliflower Alley tweeted it out, and then like everybody scrambled to get confirmation. I was trying to find the clip, and it hasn't been clipped out yet, but I'm sure after Lanny's passing it will be. A week or two ago on Nash's podcast, Nash and Sean Oliver were going through Lanny Poffo's Instagram and remarking about how it's just all pictures of Lanny with different young foreign women.
Good for him.
And I say good for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like cut down to the prime of his life. I forget where he was living. I don't know if he was like in Argentina or something like that, but he was definitely not in the United States. But like he was like in a small village in Argentina, let's just say, and you know,
yeah,
he's making friends, you know.
You know, between the women and his TV above the bed setup, he truly was a genius.
Now a lot. I don't know if you saw a lot of people. Your social media is a lot different than mine, especially this last week. Do you know the trick? Do you know the trick that Lenny Poffo was able to do?
I might have unfortunately picked that up in some tweets that I saw, but
okay.
Again, kudos to him.
Right. Right. But yeah, so Lanny was awesome. He was like, he should have gotten a Hasbro. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because that's where I remember him from, is when everybody in the late 80s, early 90s would stand in front of the backdrop with their logo on it and cut the local television promos. That's my genius, you know?
Right. He was there as an active on-screen character for like 7 years. And like he was consistently over, like he was never a top act, right? But especially like 89 when they turned him heel and he becomes the genius, like he's over, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually looking up not that I'm going to buy one, because of course now would be a fucking horrible time to do it because the prices will be through the roof, but does he have figures, period?
I think he's probably got like a classic superstars.
Yeah, I'm thinking does he have an elite? Let's see, the Genius WWE figure as I type in. Did I spell genius wrong? I did, but it fixed it.
The irony of that is not lost on me.
Looks like he has a classic superstar in the red cap and gown. Jesus, yeah, people went and picked this clean. Yeah, that might be it, unless they're just all gone because people hoard them up. But whoever goes and like sells figures or cards or anything at an inflated price when somebody just recently dies, there's a special place in hell for them. Like I get going and buying it because you might be like, oh man, I didn't appreciate him when he was here, and now I want to grab it. But if you're like a gouger at that time, I want to fight you.
I eagerly await a certain illegal tape distributor from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, to all of a sudden find in his couch a bunch of signed Lanny Poffo merchandise. Two, with Lanny Poffo not having a Hasbro and also not having a ton of figures, I will be spared. My pet peeve when it comes to social media is when people stage the thing of all the other deceased figures welcoming the newly deceased figure into wrestling figure heaven.
I know that's a bit over on the comic book show, and I do get the douche chills when I see those as well,
No, it's not. Okay, so it's a bit on Longbox in that the one day it happened and DJ riled me up at the comic book shop about it. Okay. So now Todd will never let it go.
That I wouldn't have pictured Todd as somebody who would needle somebody at something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but
all right. Rest in peace, Lanny Poffo. Whether it was Leaping, whether it was the Genius, whatever it was. I didn't preview any of the calls, but I'll say this: it's out there on YouTube. There's a match from like 84, 85 of Lanny and Macho against the Rock and Roll Express in Memphis, and it's probably the first table bump I ever saw.
Oh, all right. Yeah. He's an innovator. Gosh.
It's a wild and crazy brawl,
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation for the week. Not homework, but if you want to go see Lanny Poffo before he was full of glory and renown,
Sure. Back when he had like a blonde beard or blonde hair,
this was he had like he would like he had like the curly hair, like you know what? I know when you're like what you're thinking of. That's maybe like 82, 83. Okay. In the Outlaw Memphis territory, ICW, but they got like a bit of a run in like the main Lawler Memphis territory before they both got signed by WWE. And it was like dark-haired Lanny Poffo. He would come out to do promos in the suit of armor. And there's a Jesus Christ. I don't want to fall down this rabbit hole, but it's I saw it years and years later. But it's building up the program with the Rock and Roll Express, and Lanny Poffo makes a remark that even like what I think about it, I'm like, ooh, they said that on TV, He says he remarks what he and Randy have in common with AIDS. And he says that both are killing rock and roll stars daily. And I might have that paraphrased just a bit wrong, but it's one thing for Macho Man to say a promo like that, but it's another thing for Lanny and that voice to cut that promo. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so shocking.
Yeah. No, it's funny.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's 40 years ago, my friend. It's a different time.
Yeah, you were allowed to get away with that stuff back then.
Sure. I'm not going to say what Paul Orndorff was getting away with at that time, but let's get into 1998, huh?
Yeah, head to head.
Nitro's a stinker. It's another 3-hour Nitro with tons of matches, like Scott Hall versus Jim Neidhart. Mongo versus the British Bulldog must continue. and Mark Starr versus Bill Goldberg. I will say this. I was tipped off to something that happens on next week's Nitro. And get ready. We might be playing that match in its entirety.
Oh, all right. Hopefully it's a Goldberg match that's like 30 seconds long.
It is a Goldberg match. But it's definitely not 30 seconds long.
Oh, I am so smart. SMRT.
So Raw that night we're building up WrestleMania. Austin and Michaels. DX is coming out and trying to petition that the match get changed from being Shawn versus Austin to being Austin versus Tyson.
Seems reasonable.
Yet another instance of Shawn wanting to get out of doing a job. This time was in character, though. And this moment happens.
10 p.m. to 11 p.m., we will only use the words ass, damn, hell, and bitch. We will never, however, use the words shit, fuck, goddamn, Jesus Christ, faggot, or any other racial or sexual slurs. Now then, as it pertains to video, we promise there will be less.
Oh, what happened?
From 10 p.m.
We'll
to
pick it
11
back up.
Goddamn racial or sexual slurs.
Pick it back up here.
Now then, as it pertains to video, we promise there will be less dick references.
Oh, shit.
Watch your fucking mouth.
Well, fuck me.
God damn it. Fuck. Anyway, there will be less penis references.
Oh, and one last thing. Even though many of you believe that currently the favorite pastime in the Oral Office is swallow the leader, I did not. I repeat, I did not sleep with that young intern. As a matter of fact, I was up all night.
So that's how Raw opened this week. That's the uncut version that was on the DX VHS.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Obviously, huge DX mark, huge Shawn mark. I loved every second of that when it aired. I still do, to be honest with you. And I felt like it's all blurry because obviously I don't remember the circumstances, but I don't know if I saw in an online chat that there was an uncensored version and that it was on a home release, and then I couldn't find the home release, and I think it was on a DVD later, but they edited it. I was so pumped. It took me it was maybe 5 years ago that I finally saw the unedited version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It took a while. But yeah, I don't know why. For some reason I thought the Mandela effect. I used to tell people, no, when they first aired it, the curses weren't censored, and it was just all blurring together. But I definitely didn't quote that up all night for years as an obnoxious teenager either.
Mm-hmm. So again, they did record it, with the swears in it, and they aired an edited version. But this is the Monday Night Raw where we get Cactus versus Chainsaw Charlie. And they do the bump off the top of the Titantron into the dumpster, and the New Age Outlaws come out and push the dumpster off the stage.
And then Sonny cries for an hour.
Right, and then they treat it like it's real, and then they're like, oh, these two men are dead, I can't believe the Outlaws did this, and then it's like, okay, well, let's throw it to Mark Merrow versus Headbanger Mosh,
Well, Vince always says the show has to go on.
That's right. And then, obviously, there's a bit at the end where Cactus and Terry Funk come back in hospital gowns, pulling their IV bags behind them. So this was an early instance of good in theory, but in practice, the ending didn't quite stick.
Yeah, maybe let's not lead into it like an actual fucking death happened on TV,
Right, or if you're going to lead into it as an actual death happened on TV, don't have the two guys come out in their underwear and hospital gowns to end the show.
Yeah.
Go off the air not knowing what their status is.
Yeah, go to AOL keyword WWF to find out the latest updates on Cactus and Funk.
Yes, exactly. Now, also, just as a quickie, on this day on ECW on Sci-Fi,
what?
Vince in 2010 on this day, Vince came out and told us that in 2 weeks ECW is done, and starting in 2 weeks, we would be getting a brand new concept in the world of sports and entertainment, and that would be NXT.
Yeah, you got to take the good with the bad on that. I think that's a historic thing. You got the Nexus out of that. You eventually got the super indie that was NXT. You eventually got Cora Jade. I think that's historic.
I think Cora Jade was born after NXT started.
Yeah.
But I will say this, the fact that these are going to line up, I think, at the least, because they did it live for a while early on.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a story to tell about that first episode of NXT if it does, in fact, line up, you know?
Yeah. No, I watched it. It wasn't the worst. Part of me missed ECW because, I always had it in my head that it was going to get better at some point, you know? But on the other hand, I was like, I heard this Daniel Bryan guy's pretty good. Let's see what he has. And I always liked Wade Barrett, and there was people on that show that I was rooting for. So I treated it like an actual reality show and not a work.
Right. By this time, in the last 6 months or whatever it was of ECW, ECW essentially was what would just be renamed as NXT, because they would just randomly bring guys up from developmental and put them on the new ECW.
Yeah.
That's how Hawkins and Broski got their start. That's where Sheamus started with his feud with Goldust and all this other stuff. And these were guys that would just be on ECW for weeks, if not months, before they would get called up to the main roster or get moved over to NXT when NXT becomes NXT, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting that here we are, 13 years ago is how long NXT has been a thing, you know?
Yeah. And remember when NXT used to be really good?
I do. It's a long time ago. It was a year and a half ago.
I was doing some scouting on NXT this week, and it was unwatchable. I just always remark about how they just completely killed that just to spite themselves, but that's for a different day.
So also, and lastly, on this day in wrestling history, 10 years ago, was the first ever National Pro Wrestling Day. The biggest and best National Pro Wrestling Day that there ever was. This was the one where there actually was representation and matches sent from other promotions instead of just all the little fake promotions that Quack thought up. Looking over these two cards, because there was an afternoon and a night card, there's just as many people who would go on to superstardom on this as there are people who are super ultra mega canceled.
It's like a game. It's come on down to canceled or famous.
Yes. Now, we're not going to go over the whole card. I just will mention a few things on here. So if you see on the, and I have the card here up in front of Adam, and you can go look up the card yourself. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But you'll see that there was a Ring of Honor match on the afternoon show, and there's an Evolve match on the evening show. Okay. That was a special consideration for Gabe, specifically from Evolve, as he did not want his Evolve talent to be on the show as the same show as his former promotion, Ring of Honor.
Okay, so they just split one up, put one in the day, one in the night.
Right.
Gotcha.
Looking over the rest of this, I've told this story on the show before. This is the first time that I met Ethan Page.
Okay.
We became fast friends over him having the name of one of his moves be an allusion to a certain adult film star that we both were fans of, and that's he says that name, and I just look at him, and I go, yeah? And he goes, oh, I can't do that because it's Shakar? I'm like, I know who it is, but they don't know who it is. And he's like, oh, okay. Anyway, just looking at the rest of this. We'll get to the main story a little bit later on. There's the Beyond match that's on here is maybe the most canceled match in wrestling history. This also, and I've told this story on the show before, this one Chris Dickinson threatened to beat up Adam Lash for stuff that Adam Lash had said about him on Twitter. And Adam Lash didn't back down and said, okay, so you kick my ass. I'm the one who's running the free iPay-per-view for charity. Mm-hmm. Then what do you do? And Dickinson, ever a genius, got frustrated and walked away. Night 2, if you see there, Angel Ortiz and Mike Drastic. You would probably know them better as Santana and Ortiz.
I definitely would recognize them by those names.
Yes. Just trying to look to see who else you see. The NYWC match on there is Reynolds and Johnny Silver.
Oh, I know who they are. Yep.
Right. IWC, International Wrestling Cartel, out of Pittsburgh. John McChesney taking on Logan Shulo. Now you're going to say, I don't know who Logan Shulo is.
I don't know who Logan Shulo is.
But you would know Logan Shulo better as Elias.
Oh, that's Ezekiel's brother.
Yes, Ezekiel's brother.
Okay.
But there's a match on the afternoon show presented by CZW, which was like the most canceled wrestler of all time, Rory Rory Gulak, taking on Latin Dragon, taking on Matt Tremont. Now, CZW was originally not involved in this at first, right? Mm-hmm. DJ Hyde did a shoot interview where he said like a bunch of like wild and crazy shit about Mike Quackenbush and Quackenbush's wife and all sorts of other allegations of whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So Quack's like, I don't want these people on my show. You know, I know we're inviting all these outside companies. I don't want these people here. So DJ Hyde put up a video that I did my best to try to find today of him essentially threatening that if we're not included in this free show for charity, we're going to invade the show and beat your people up.
Okay.
So to prevent that from happening, Drew Gulak was training at both the Chikara and the CZW schools at the time, and it was agreed upon of these would be the CZW representatives. CZW attempted to get a slogan off the ground that did not do very well called Wrestling Fears CZW. And this is CZW's press release of them announcing their involvement in the show. This Saturday, February 2nd, out of fear, National Pro Wrestling Day has now added a CZW Young Gun 3-way on the afternoon event. See the action and visit the CZW vending booth selling DVDs and the new Wrestling Fears CZW shirt at the event. Out of fear, Adam. And again, they exclude the part where they threaten to send their deathmatch people over to beat up a bunch of, again, skinny Chikara nerds in the name of them not being included in a charity event.
Yeah. Big tough guys.
And I'm doing the Zandig pose, CZW, like nothing else.
Ugh. I hope they're like super successful now. All those people. I hope they're doing well.
They're not, Adam. They're not. They're actually doing very poorly.
Well, I guess that's what they deserve.
Some would say it's almost as though you reap what you sow.
Yeah. Thank God I'm a good person.
Oh, I can't say that. All right. So that's enough history. Let's get into what we want to talk about from this last week, Adam.
All right. Well, before I get into pretty much the meat of my conversation, Joe, just bear with me for a second. And Joe, this isn't alcohol. This is the last can remaining from what I brought home from this past Saturday of Mountain Dew Pitch Black. Yeah.
I was going to say, I recognize that unmistakable sound anywhere. That's somebody opening and getting ready to enjoy a can of Mountain Dew Pitch Black. Yeah.
First, I want to say thank you to DJ for inviting us all over to the compound to enjoy the show. Something about the Rumble that you can't really, I don't think you can enjoy it. At least I couldn't enjoy it just sitting and watching it by myself. I'd much rather be in a room full of people just shitting on it, and kind of reacting to it. And like a stronger pay-per-view, you can sit and just enjoy the wrestling. But, something about the Rumble, whether it be the gambling or whatnot. But I do want to talk about almost everything on the show. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the controversy that is surrounding the At Odds Royal Rumble opportunity, Joe.
Okay.
And that is the fact that I drew the number of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was never eliminated. Therefore, I believe that I am entitled to half of the other JB's winnings, the other JB drawing number 30, where it was Cody Rhodes, obviously. So I know I made it a point last week when we were going over the rules that, the money would be given to whoever wins, whoever's presented as the winner after the show. But that was before it affected me, Joe. I don't know if I like this. But congratulations to the other GB, as well as Virtual Pros, Mike from Virtual Pros, for winning the women's with Rhea Ripley. But let's start off with the men's Rumble. No Broski, so I was sad about that. It was nice to see Kofi. I like Kofi. I think he's probably one of the nicest guys, probably. Great dad, all that stuff. I wish him no harm, but I am so sick of the Kofi spot, and I'm glad that 2 years in a row he biffed it. Shouldn't count on a plastic chair supporting your weight.
I think he tweeted saying that, I think he's essentially, he's like, yeah, I think I'm done trying this, Yeah,
it's, I feel bad, but at the same time, let's let that bit die. But obviously, Cody Rhodes won, overcoming all the odds, outlasting 29 other men by coming out at number 30 and just being instantly in the final 4 or final 6 or whatever. I don't like that finish or the him winning it, and it's nothing against Cody. So, Mr. Tim, I apologize. I have nothing against Cody. But I hate going into a Rumble, whether it be a men's or a women's, and I think it was very apparent with this men's Rumble, where there's really only one person who could win it. At no point did I think Walter was going to, or not Walter, fucking Gunther was going to win it. Gunther had a star-making performance, but you're not going to have Gunther go to headline WrestleMania. At no point did I think, they're just going to have Seth Rollins win it, or whoever. It was Cody's from the start, especially with you having him come out at number 30. I get it. It's a trope of Royal Rumbles, and they talked about this over on Viewer's Choice. It's done to death, and it's so predictable, and I just hate having a guy who basically outlasted 8 people, because he came in, when the final 8 or whatever, say, I outlasted 29 other men. No, you didn't. It was just very disappointing. And obviously, we'll get into the Sammy stuff in a little bit, but just not the best men's Rumble, and it sucks to blame Cody on that. It's not his fault, but I think they need to stop having all of the winners come from 30, 28, 1, 2. Why can't freaking 14 be the winner one year? It's just getting too predictable.
I'd have to do my gazintas, but I think the last time somebody won the men's Rumble and wasn't one of the first 2 or the last 4, because 27 is the big number that everyone wins from, right?
Yeah.
So 27, 28, 29, 30, 1 or 2, okay? Mm-hmm. The last time that somebody won from not one of those spots might have been 2002.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. At the time, I was a little disappointed with watching it. It is what it is. They had their little stories that they tried to build into it, but as you mentioned, nobody had been built up the way that Cody had been built up. If you were going to have Cody be number 30 and win it, you should have had him be a surprise.
Oh, 100%. I think I bitched a month or 2 ago that they started dropping those vignettes of him recovering and coming back. When you are looking at weeks worth of promotion and you see Cody Rhodes on every poster, and 29 people have come out and Cody hasn't come out yet, you know exactly who's coming out next. The only excusable way to have Cody come out at 30 is if we haven't heard a peep of him since he tore the back.
Or you still do those vignettes that Cody's training to come back, and you just say Cody returns soon. And then you have them interview Cody, and they're like, are you going to be in the Rumble? And Adam, I know you're going to be surprised when I say this, and this is going to be something that Cody's going to have to really stretch and really use all of his fortitude to do. But Cody would just lie and say, no, I'm not in the Royal Rumble. And then he shows up as number 30 in the Royal Rumble.
I just think that the second you start showing anything of him, Cody's coming soon, then people have that suspicion in their head. Keep it a complete surprise.
And as for your grievance there in regards to Rey Mysterio, I did consult with the ghost of Jack Tunney, and he did inform me that if your number is called and you do not enter the ring by the time the next person enters the ring, you have forfeited your spot in the World Wrestling Entertainment Royal Rumble.
It's a bunch of bullshit. That's not fair.
Listen,
I had
you take it up with the ghost of Jack Tunney as well, okay?
I will. I drew Rey Mysterio and Braun Strowman, so I had dead money on that. Who did you get? Do you remember?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's all right.
Edge? I had Edge.
All right.
And then somebody else early.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else on the men's Rumble?
Nah, when you look at who was in there, they could have done like a stunt winner had like Logan Paul win it, but
yeah,
that's it.
And again, I think Tim or Marcus brought this up again on Viewer's Choice that you could have very easily threw Cody out there at like 27 and then just had Logan Paul be number 30 because they want number 30 to be the big pop. Have it be that. Nobody was expecting Logan Paul to show up. Logan Paul got the reaction. Or not necessarily the reaction, the treatment that Cody should have got. Logan, tore his knee up at the Saudi show. He was out. We knew he was going to eventually come back, but we didn't hear a peep about him on WWE television. And then when he came out, it's like, oh, well, I mean, not me, but it's like, holy shit, it's Logan Paul. Like, that should have been the reaction for Cody. He's been out injured for a while, and just, oh, there's Cody. Yay. But what was next? Was it the women's title match, or was it the main event?
The next was the main event.
Yes, so I'll let you take this one, Joe.
So none of us knew what to expect from the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, right?
Yeah.
We learned prior to recording today that it was a 7-figure deal to have that promotion, and I can only hope that the Hollywood multi-million-dollar megastar, even though he doesn't need the money, I hope that LA Knight got a cut of that fucking money. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we're there. Nobody knows what the match is going to be. LA Knight comes out, and he always has red and black are his gear colors. And he comes out, and he's wearing yellow, right? And we're all like, ooh, new pay-per-view gear. All right, what's this? And then Bray Wyatt comes out, and he's got the lantern, and he's got, like, nothing really special on, And they both get in the ring. And then we find out that the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match essentially is a blacklight match.
Yeah, it's Cosmic Bowling.
It's Cosmic Bowling, the match. And it's why LA Knight has little yellow panties on, and Bray Wyatt has like a whole bunch of paint all over his face and his arms to make him look double spooky. Then they go outside the ring and they brawl, and for some reason there's like foam beads inside the ringside table for some reason. And then LA Knight finds some kendo sticks, which are also day glowed up as well. So it was goofy. It was stupid. I hope Mountain Dew is happy with with these 7 figures that they spent on this match, because I think bell to bell it was maybe about 6 minutes. Then they do a spot where they brawl like to like a back area in the building, and then we see perched up above Crash Pad is Uncle Howdy himself, and then Uncle Howdy falls in the general vicinity of LA Knight. There's big fireworks that go off. And then we see the human embodiments of the puppets from the Firefly Funhouse watching on, neither approvingly or disprovingly. 5 stars.
7 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
If it took place in the Tokyo Dome instead of the Alamo Dome, it would have been 7 stars. What the hell were you expecting, everybody? What were you expecting, huh?
You know what? We worked ourselves into a shoot, and I think you'll be the first to admit that. I will say this. This fucking Pitch Black's pretty damn good. Like, I'm glad that there's only 1 can in my house, because I pounded a ton of these between the cans that were in the fridge and the fountain that DJ set up. Like, right. I had a lot of this stuff. So I have to think that Mountain Dew had to have made good money on this, because whether it be sincerely or as a bit, like, everybody who had a Rumble party had to have bought some of this, But as far as the Pitch Black match, I forget who brought it up at the gathering, but when this Bray Wyatt figure comes out that glows in the dark to show his paint, that's going to be a pretty damn good seller. Hopefully we get another LA Knight, or we get a LA Knight figure, but maybe there's a chase in this attire. I liked everything about this match from a sports entertainment standpoint other than the puppets. Like, the puppets was where it was like, all right, come on. You went a little too far. I could buy everything else.
That's the line that I'm not willing to cross. Fucking puppets.
Yeah, I could buy Uncle Howdy and everything glowing because Bray Wyatt's spooky. But the puppets, yeah, I got a problem with that. And plus, it probably reignited a bunch of idiots on Twitter to, like, speculate who's in the costumes, and I hate that too.
I hate that too.
But I won't take too long talking about the women's title match other than the fact that Alexa got screwed. Her time is now. You got to put the strap on her, but maybe they're waiting till WrestleMania. So I'm upset, but I'm willing to let it play out, Joe.
Bianca deserves better.
Well, we'll have her lose the belt at Mania. It's a bigger payday. But I guess, again, to the Women's Rumble, I drew Candice LeRae, which I was like, okay, it's not the worst thing. It's better than my Xia Li last year, but obviously Candice isn't going to be winning this. And you know what, Joe? Poor Vansky. I drew Chelsea. And I thought it was fun for the bit because who else is going to draw Chelsea other than me? And then she gets eliminated like instantly, sets a record for the fastest women's elimination. She's basically the female Santino Marella. No offense to Chelsea on that one. But your thoughts on the Women's Rumble with Rhea Ripley winning?
I thought the Women's Rumble was good. It benefited from them bungling the women's division. And on SmackDown on Friday, when they showed the graphic for who was in the Women's Rumble, they had 7 people.
Yeah.
And when the pay-per-view started, I think they had 22. So there was going to be some surprises, some fresh faces, some people that haven't been on TV in a while. We get Asuka coming back. We get some NXT representation, that sort of thing. I know at least one person that was happy that Nia Jax was back.
Yeah, less said about that, the better.
Right. I wouldn't take that person's advice on pretty much anything. That being said, Chelsea now has a Karen gimmick in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah, because, just being a hot bitch, I guess, wasn't a good enough character, And
I can only hope Chelsea has somewhere to draw from that maybe, I wouldn't say her, she seems like a nice enough person.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Right. Hopefully she has like research that she could do or something that she can kind of look into and see someone who's just complains and nitpicks and is never happy about anything that he's handed and given and nothing's ever perfect for them. I hope that she has someone like that in her life that she could draw that inspiration from for this character. But I did like the Women's Rumble more than the Men's Rumble. A lot of it had to do with the final 3 and the ending spot to close it out. It really made you think that it could have been, it got to that point where they were down to Liv, Asuka, and Rhea, that it really could have been either one of the 3. And they did a good spot of toying it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then Rhea winning, yay, wrestling Charlotte at WrestleMania again. I don't know. Charlotte positioned as the babyface in this. Charlotte is maybe the most booable female that they have on their roster outside of Ronda Rousey. And now what does this leave for Ronda to do? I could
stay home, hopefully.
Right, stay home, hopefully. But I could see them doing some bullshit and turning this match into like a triple threat or something.
Yeah, or somehow they put Rhea and Charlotte in the ring for like promos, and Rhea's getting cheered and Charlotte's getting booed, and they have to do something to tweak it,
Yeah, they cannot put these two in the ring together because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Whatever your feelings are about Rhea Ripley, she's been an entertaining character on the Judgment Day.
Hell yeah.
Charlotte's just fucking unlikable in every respect.
Exactly.
But yeah, this Rumble, as you said, was more wide open. There was a lot of people who could have won. Asuka coming back as like the killer, like Japanese, like her pre NXT persona, was very impressive. So I could have seen them just doing a full push on her. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. And again, we have a situation where Rhea was number 1?
Yeah.
So very predictable. I want them to let's take 5 years off from that on both Rumbles,
Yeah.
But
let's have number 3 win it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Have 25. I don't care. Just nothing in those sweet spots of 1 and 2, 27, 28, 29, 30,
Yeah.
But on to the main events. I don't have much to say about the match itself. You can talk about it if you want to, but obviously Roman defeats Kevin Owens. But the stuff that is worth talking about is at the end with the Bloodline stuff. The Bloodline handcuffs Kevin Owens to the ring. Basically, Roman's going to go and hit Kevin Owens with the chair. Sammy stops him. Roman says, "You're right. You should do it." And then after much deliberation and literally everybody in the Alamo Dome and everybody at home, at their buddy's house, whatever, at the edge of their seats, eventually Sammy hits Roman with the chair. And then you get that little bit of hesitation from the Usos, just long enough for all of us to be thinking to ourselves, are they going to jump in and start picking Roman's bones too? But no, they go and obviously they attack Sammy. And the show goes off the air with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens laid out. And I believe Jey Uso. Yeah, Jey Uso basically leaves because he doesn't want to beat down Sammy. And on social media, he quits the Bloodline. So that is pure sports entertainment, but God damn, it's fucking great. I've been saying for a long time that this Bloodline stuff is this shining beacon of watchability within the WWE, and this was chef's kiss.
So I don't. If I come off as being a negative Nancy, I'm apologizing in advance, okay? Because this is a great storyline. It's something that they've been building up, at least with Sammy's involvement since the summer. You could talk about like the overarching story of everything that Roman does and touches with the Usos and Solo and Paul and everything else has now been going on since SummerSlam 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But let's just focus on like Sammy's involvement in all of this. Is this a great storyline? Absolutely. Is it that much greater because all the other storylines in WWE stink? Absolutely as well. As good as this storyline is, I think everyone else is tricking themselves that it's better than it actually is. Like, I see the people like trying to draw parallels between this and when Seth turned on Roman to leave the Shield, and then like other storylines and so forth. They're like, oh, we don't even realize how deep this all goes. And I think you're trying to make it a lot like it's a 9.5 plus, okay?
Well, let me ask
it's not
you
a
this.
Gem Mint 10, okay?
Well, let me ask you this, just to hijack real quick. What is a storyline, whether it be at AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan, whatever, in the last year or two, a storyline, a feud, an angle, that you think is better done than this or is more compelling? Off the top of your head. And I'll tell you why you're wrong when you're done.
Well, and that's the thing. You're going to tell me why I'm wrong. The problem is there's nothing else that even comes close in WWE. Okay. Mm-hmm. The closest that you would have had was if Cody didn't get injured and his road to the title could have been as close to this as possible. AEW, on the other hand, so many of their storylines have gotten stop and start stuff, and they lean more heavily on the in-ring stuff as opposed to the storyline stuff. I'm not arguing with you that it's not the best angle of the last 12 months. I'm not arguing that with you. I'm just arguing the fact if people are trying to make it like even better, like people are saying that this is the greatest storyline in wrestling ever, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that's being...
Yes.
If we look back at this 20 years from now and it's still one of the best of the last 20 years, well, whatever, we'll reassess that.
It's people who grew up with Edge in his third run as the champion. It's people who started watching wrestling with the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying you don't have the wealth of knowledge to go back and look at all these things. You know, if I pull up, well, you know, what about the Mega Powers angle? That's actually a storyline that did go for like the better part of 2, even 3 years, and there was stuff laid in the groundwork for whatever. But then, like, somebody will come to me, it's like, oh, well, you never saw the Dusty Rhodes Pac song angle in Florida in the 70s. And that's right, I haven't, right? It's all what you grow up with. It's all what you know, whatever. But it just, I get people want to make this more special than it already is, but it's already pretty goddamn special just the way it is.
Sure. And
it doesn't need extra shit on top of it, you know?
Yeah, I'm not going to be saying that this is one of the top 5 angles of all time or anything like that. But for you to say that this might be the best storyline over the past 12 months in wrestling, period.
Oh, yeah, it is.
That's pretty high praise, you know? And I think that's meeting it with what I said.
Okay.
You know? I'm not going to say this is the greatest wrestling angle ever, the last 10 years or 20 years, but for it to be the most compelling television in the past year, regardless of what company, I think that's pretty good praise.
LA Knight and the Puppets. I'm just saying.
That's LA Knight able to overcome the adversity of bad storytelling and bad creative. You know, that's him transcending it.
For sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously we're not going to be the first people to speculate what happens. You know, obviously Cody's getting a belt at Mania. I think that's unavoidable. I just hope that, and I said this when we were hanging out on Saturday, I hope that Roman versus Sammy isn't just on like a throwaway episode of SmackDown or like at Elimination Chamber or something like that, where it's just like an afterthought, and then we're gonna stick them in a tag match with the Usos at Mania, and I could see that happening. I think that this storyline deserves more than a blow off on a C pay-per-view.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what's going to happen. You know, Monday morning, Mr. Marcus and I were around the pool with Pat and Vince and Brucey trying to figure out a way. I'm pitching this whole idea. Cody comes out on Raw and he says that he not only wants to walk out of WrestleMania as champion, but he wants to walk into WrestleMania as champion. And he goes and he decides, instead of being the main event, like you start the beginning of the Cody heel turn, and says that he's going to be the main event of WrestleMania because he's going to be the champion because he's cashing in his title shot early and he wants Roman at Elimination Chamber. You then set up Roman at Elimination Chamber with Cody. That's when Sammy helps inadvertently Cody win the belt. That's where you get your Roman versus Sammy match at WrestleMania. It doesn't have to be for the belt. It'd be great if it was for the belt, but you get that match at WrestleMania. You figure out something to do with Kevin Owens in all of that as well. And then that's where you do your Cody dream match as the champion, whether it be you convince The Rock to come back. You've convinced Austin to come back. You convince Cena to come back, whomever it is. Hell, you pull the trigger and you do Cody versus The Fiend at WrestleMania, right? I've got 9 Cody matches for you at WrestleMania. Let's get this match out of the way so we could do Sammy and Roman at WrestleMania, and Vince just ended up pushing me in the pool and laughing that laugh that he does, you know? We tried.
Yeah, so we'll see. Obviously, we all know where it's going to go, but we all kind of feel like it should go a different direction and whatever. Yes. We'll see what happens. You know, maybe Papa H will surprise us.
So you're just all Royal Rumbled out. You got anything else? Because I got like
Nah. I mean, I know what you're going to talk about, and I think we would overlap there. So go ahead.
Yeah, broad strokes of Dynamite this past week. I thought Hangman Mox was really good. I thought Danielson versus Tim Thatcher was really good. I like that they set up my match that I've been talking about for the last several weeks that we're going to get Takeshita beating Max on TV next week. I think we're like 3 or 4 weeks in a row of Max cutting promos not in front of the live crowd.
Yeah, that's a
good. And somehow they've been better. I don't know what anyway.
And Joe, can I ask you this? Like, obviously, we watch a lot of AEW. Has there ever been a challenger win what do they call them? Elimination matches or
an eliminator? No,
eliminator.
Never.
Yeah, a challenger has never beat the champion in an eliminator. This could be the fucking first time to do it. You know?
Yeah. And I think it's going to happen.
Because otherwise, why have these things? If you're never going to have the non-champion beat the champion in a non-title and then lose the title match, which is how these are designed to work, you got to do it at least once.
It's right. It's a throwback to the Cody Open Challenge when he was the TNT champion. It's a throwback to when they had the top 5 rankings. Remember the top 5 rankings in AEW?
Yeah, I just saw like a couple weeks ago somebody pointed out that they were just slowly
just
abandoned.
Quietly never mentioned again.
Yeah.
It's a way, it's a holdover from those things where it's a way to get somebody into the title picture who's not in the top 5 ranking.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm cool with that, whatever. But the main thing was the Darby Allin versus Samoa Joe match, main event. You talk about Bloodline being the best storyline of the past 12 months. Samoa Joe versus Darby has been the best 3-match series in recent wrestling history. Just 2 maniacs going out there killing each other in different ways every time. I watched this match twice. I watched it live last night, and I watched it again before we recorded today. It's that goddamn good.
Better series than Briscoes versus FTR?
Second match of the Briscoes FTR was just really good as opposed to great.
Okay.
But 1 and 3 were like unbelievably great. And those matches were on pay-per-view. These matches are on free TV. So these get the nod because they're on free TV and anybody can watch them.
This was the best trilogy available on free TV in the past several years.
There you go.
All right. Got you out of that.
Asterisk.
Yeah. I love the match. We talk all the time about how when Joe is a killer against a guy who's willing to just bump all over the place for him, it's super fun to watch. I know they did the bit that Marcus loves where they tear up the ring and expose the boards, but they did it in kind of an interesting way with the tacks on the hoodie and the muscle buster and all that stuff. It was a bloodbath, like you said. Joe got cut really good over his eye. I loved it as well, and I have no problem with the TNT title being the hot potato title.
Yeah,
it's not like it's not like the 24/7 title where everybody's getting a run. It's being presented as meaning something, but it's changing a lot because it's defended a lot, and I have no problem with that.
Exactly.
But all right, Joe, that's all I have for this past week.
All right, well, let's get into this last month because we have a winner to announce.
The gender-neutral monarch of At Odds Wrestling.
That's right, Joe. We have a winner, and with 53% of the vote, it's a real nail-biter. The Boar has defeated Ziggy Haim. A boyhood dream has come true, Joe.
The new King of the Mountain, the new Slapnuts, the new best singer, best entertainer, best wrestler. After 4 years of you doing this, to my man the Boar, he finally gets a petition, go to rights, the push the theme song. It's a double K can't win.
I'm gonna assume that I understood a bunch of the things you said because the music was drowning you out. But again, I don't know.
He's the new King of the Mountain.
Yeah.
You couldn't screw him over anymore. Through sheer will, he finally overcame your chicanery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. On one hand, it's nice to see the Boar finally get over the hump. Finally. Get that ring, get that chip, the chip. Is that what the kids say? I don't know. But on the other hand, it is going to ruin the bit of everybody saying that I've been holding him back and, trying to root against him and, pull levers to screw him over. How did I screw him over if he won? That's the question. But I guess better late than never on this whole winning the gender-neutral monarch there, Boar. But the Boar was unable to be reached for comments. We tried to reach out, and he's got a busy schedule. However, he does join a very illustrious group of talents. and Orange Cassidy, Avery Good, and Danhausen. So all those people received the ad odds bump. So good things coming for the Boar in 2023.
Fingers crossed in regards to all of that. And as I understand it, there's a victory celebration that's starting in Lancaster, PA, and going all the way through Hagersville, Maryland, and ending up in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So that's why the Boar is unable to be reached for comment this week. He's too busy celebrating this victory.
Yeah, and rightfully so. And congratulations to everybody else that was in the tournament. Maybe somebody else will become the next Boar that just gets to be in it every year. Probably not, but look forward to the fifth annual-ish gender-neutral Monarch, and who knows when that's going to happen, because honestly I'll forget, and it'll probably be like a week before the end of 23.
I know it was originally supposed to coincide with when World Wrestling Entertainment did their King of the Ring.
Yeah, but they haven't done that in forever.
Yeah, they do it so haphazardly. I think the last time they did it was not this past August, but the prior August.
Yeah, because that's how the very first year we were running it almost simultaneously with the King of the Ring, and like the following year, the King of the Ring didn't happen, and I scurried and just kind of like threw it out at random. I don't know, but when it comes, it comes. Congratulations, the Boar. Seriously,
for sure.
He wanted it the most, and I think that's why he won.
Absolutely. So we're jumping around here a little bit. What do you have to assign me for homework?
All right, Joe. This one took a little bit of thought, a little bit of deliberation. I have a very long list of upcoming homework assignments, and I'm going to go with an easy one. I was going to go with a deep cut, but I'm going to go with an easy one, and this is in honor of many of us getting a Rip and Zeus Mattel Creations 2-pack. We are going to watch No Holds Barred.
Ooh.
So I wanted to go with something a little bit more obscure, but I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. I feel like this is, when we talk wrestling movies, one of the first things that pops into many people's heads. And like I said, it's kind of time relevance because we just got those figures, but I don't know. I haven't seen this since... I don't think I've seen this from start to finish since I saw it at like a dollar theater during its initial run. Like at the Ritz in downtown Scranton, if you remember.
Yeah, for sure. I probably watched it once since, maybe within the last like 10 years or so. It's not streaming anywhere.
Oh, no.
Which stinks.
Yeah, no, I don't even think you can actually go and buy a DVD copy, because I know when the figures came out, a lot of people were talking about that it's like out of print.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it's available in your deep archives of like all those DVDs that you bought years ago, right, Jeff?
Oh, sure. I'm sure I could just dig that one up and rip it and do what I got to do. Rip them and rip it.
Exactly. So that will be our homework for next week. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
All right. So what is next on the slate of things to talk about? Oh, it's voicemail time.
Yeah.
All right. We got a ton of voicemails. Get ready.
All right.
Hello, Joe Adam. It's the other JB here. Right off the top, I'd like to give a thank you to everyone in the Royal Rumble pool, the roller coaster, and the subject of my homework for this past week, Rey Mysterio. Y'all were instrumental in helping give me a tuition payment, so that was very helpful. So this past week, a bunch of ECW and WCW Rey Mysterio matches. Love the series of matches between him and Psychosis. The 2 out of 3 falls one was a fun one, along with the Mexican death match. That was a fun stipulation. Mix of the last man standing with pinfalls. That was very interesting. At some point I'll want to see more of those. But the ones that I really liked was the series of matches with Ray and Kidman facing Raven and Saturn, and how it brought in Benoit and Malenko in WCW. Those were fun. Nothing gets me going quite like a good Arn Anderson Spinebuster. So I'll use Armed Anderson as my homework question for y'all this week. What Arn Anderson matches and moments would point me towards? Alrighty, thank you.
Joe, I'm just going to go ahead and check my phone, look at my social media while you go ahead and field this.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to be of any use.
Okay. So there are tons of Arn Anderson matches. Unfortunately, like I said, he is primarily a tag team wrestler, even though he had a fantastic run as the television champion. There's no TV title singles matches that jump out at me, but I'm going to give you 2 matches to watch anyway. There is a Rockers Brainbusters match from Madison Square Garden. You could find it on YouTube, okay? There is also, and this is one of those things where I was going to bring it up on the show maybe like a week or 2 ago because it was like the air date anniversary, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a 6-man from WCW Power Hour where it's Great Muta, Buzz Sawyer, and the Dragon Master taking on Sting, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson. And they're the baby faces. Sting, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson are the baby faces. And it is one of the wildest 10-minute matches you'll ever see in your life. And the crowd is hot the entire time.
Okay.
But like I said, Arn is one of those guys where he doesn't have tons of great matches, like these 5-star classics or whatever it is, but he has like so many great moments, so many great times where he makes somebody else look like $1 million just by the little things that he does. You know what? I'll throw one more out there. 1994 Fall Brawl. It's him and Ric Flair. It's the first time they ever had a singles match against each other, and this is the beginning of like, oh, is there a schism in the Horsemen? And Flair tricks Sting to team with them, and you know, for the 45th time. But it's Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson in a singles match. And Arn has told the story that like he had like the flu and he threw up literally right before he walked out of the curtain. And with that in mind, you watch that match and these guys go like a hard 20 minutes. And it's like more historic than anything else. So those are your 3. Rockers, Brainbusters, Madison Square Garden. That 6-man from the Power Hour. It's on Monsoon Classics YouTube channel. You could very easily find it. He just recently re-uploaded it. And then Fall Brawl 94, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson.
Yeah. And other JB, if you don't think I noticed you gloating about that winnings, you better watch yourself because I've taken that personally.
You should.
All right, next.
All right, next call.
Hey, guys. It's the strongest man in all the land, Arthur MacArthur. And I don't really have much to say in this call. All I really want to do is just wish my good pal and stunt double / me a happy birthday. It was a couple of days ago as of this call, but, you know, I figured I'd at least, you know, honor him with my presence in the voicemail this week. Before I say anything else, I obviously have to plug the show this Saturday. Akron, if you're in the area, come on down. AIW, bulking season, we're getting our titles back from those Bitcoin boys, and I don't care. And I repeat, I don't care if that bothers you. Anyways, I don't know. That's really all I got. I just wanted to plug that show and, of course, wish you a happy birthday. I'll have something more creative next week. Love you guys. Love you a long time. Have a good one.
Well, thank you, Artie. I appreciate that. And obviously, we addressed this last time when bulking season, unfortunately, were robbed of the AIW titles, that Artie didn't call before the match and bad things happened. So it's good to see that he's recognized the fact that if he wants to win those straps back this Saturday, which he will, a voicemail needs to precede it. So obviously, we're getting those belts back. It's a foregone conclusion. I've already got my MapQuest directions printed out to get out there. Looking forward to the big win. So good luck, Artie.
Yeah, and it's a stacked show for our friends over at AIW. They did their whole full hard sell podcast this past week, John, who's been going through a plethora of issues with that stolen car bullshit. Yeah. And Ronald Two Legs, but already mentioned them in the Bitcoin Boys for the tag titles. You've got Filthy Tom Lawler going against Josh Bishop for the Absolute title. You got the 4-way for the Intense title, which has Derek and Wes and Paul London and Joey Janela in it. You have Alec Price taking on Dom Garini. It's a stacked show. $5 on Fight. Give them a try. AIW are our boys, our friends, our girls, our people. Definitely support them.
Yeah. And Joe, I learned something today that if somebody steals your car and you report it stolen and then they do crime in that car, it's your fault. That blows my mind.
Well, so it's not so much that it's your fault, and that's definitely an Ohio thing. Yeah, it's so like, hey, they go and do crimes in your car. We caught them on camera. Your car is reported stolen. Yeah, we really can't do anything about that. Our hands are tied. Oh, this car was involved. And that's the thing. It's never the car. It's always the person. So I think they were just trying to screw John around a bit,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, well. But yeah, thanks for the call, Artie. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Good luck.
Yep, good luck this weekend, man. Next call.
Hey, Joe and Adam. This is Kevin Ford. Bad news. I went to the dentist today for a regular cleaning, and it turns out I have a cavity and need a filling. Not my first, but it's been, I truly don't know how long. I want to say, 20 plus years ago was my last cavity. I don't think it was all the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, do you? No chance, right?
No.
Guys?
No.
Guys?
No, see, Mountain Dew Pitch Black doesn't cause cavities. They just rot the teeth directly out of your head. There is no cavity and a slow decay. It's just an immediate dissolve of the tooth.
I thought it just ate away at the enamel until there was nothing left, But I'm sure everything will be okay. They have wonderful advancements in like dentures these days.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's worth it. I mean, honestly. Like,
I have a crown from a root canal that's fallen off like 3 times, It's
yeah,
great.
because a dentist tells me that it's either your teeth or Mountain Dew Pitch Black. I'm choosing Mountain Dew Pitch Black, to be honest with you. It's like, I don't need these teeth.
Mm-hmm.
But, thanks,
all
guys.
right. Thanks. Good luck with the cavity. Next call.
Hey, guys, it's DeWicki. I just wanted to say that I hope you guys have a great show. And, boy, that Michael Elgin had a real normal one today, didn't he? Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Listen, I don't want to condemn him at all. I just think that if we can get all of our listeners to somehow gather $100,000 for me to do a podcast, it would be appreciated. And I think that that's fair. I would talk about how the fire department is against me, and I might even get a lawyer. And so just send me $100,000, please.
That being said, I hope Michael Elgin's wife, fiance, and his kid are okay. He seems like he's having a rough time, and there's a lot of people that hey, it's probably not helping interacting with him and telling him he should die, and I agree with that. But then there's another camp of people that say Michael Elgin is an unrepentant piece of shit, and anything that happens to him, he's brought upon himself. He could have gone away like many other people have, but he keeps just picking at it and picking at it and picking at it. What does he expect to happen? I wish nothing for Michael Elgin, good or bad. I just hope his family are okay. And I hope they're doing whatever steps they need to get him the help that he needs, because he definitely needs help.
Yep.
We all need help, but I volunteer my help to him. How about that?
Fair enough.
All right, next call.
Hello, gentlemen. Kevin here. Trying to stay warm. I don't know about you guys in Pennsylvania, but pretty much all of central New York is expecting a incredible temperature drop for Friday and Saturday. And then it'll be warmer Sunday for Pokemon Joe. So we'll be okay. I was watching that Sami Zayn interview earlier this week, well, late last week, technically now, with, and I'll mispronounce his name, Ariel Helwani, I believe is the guy's name.
That's correct.
And he did an interview with Triple H shortly after Hunter took over WWE. Very good interviews that really open up the wrestlers that he talks to. And I grew up watching so many shoe interviews, which are all kind of, in character and supposed to be controversial, and some of them seem like they don't really want to be there. But I really enjoyed these interviews, and they feel like I'm seeing an interview with the actual person and not the character. So I was curious, in all of your viewing, watching, whatever, what do you think are the best wrestler interviews you've seen, where you really feel like you're seeing a person interviewed and not just character, storyline, gimmick, whatever it might be? Looking forward to the answers and looking forward to staying warm this weekend. Talk to you later, guys.
I just looked at the weather because I was like, this is news to me. And I'm like, oh, man, single digits the next 2 days? That's going to ruin all my outdoor plans I had.
Well, I saw Kevin lamenting about this the other day, and just like he did, I checked. And I saw Friday, Saturday is going to be cold, but it was cold today. Whatever. I have a house. I pay my heat bill. I'll be okay. Yeah. But then, like, Sunday is supposed to be, like, in the low 50s. And I'm like, fuck that, whatever. Yeah. Let Friday and Saturday be cold. I wasn't planning on doing anything or going anywhere anyway.
Yeah. But as far as the interview, I remember one time Adam Cole was on the Pat McAfee show, and Pat McAfee said something that made Adam Cole mad, and Adam Cole got up and like yelled at him, and it was like you could tell it was a shoot because he was really mad, and I was like, wow, this is probably the best interview I've ever seen in my life. So that's my answer.
So, God bless you, Kevin, thinking that an Ariel Helwani in the pocket of World Wrestling Entertainment interview with Triple H was two real people having a conversation. I don't have to watch that to know that it wasn't. Just like I don't need to stick my hand in this fire to know that it's hot. I want a shoot interview to be entertaining, and a lot of times most people's real lives aren't that entertaining. The Brody Lee one that he did for Smart Mark, which I think is out on IWTV for free. Eddie Kingston conducted it, and it was like Brody's last day before getting called up to WWE.
I think that was on I think they put it on YouTube.
Yeah,
right after he passed, because I think that's where I watched it.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Because Brody is just like, he doesn't give any shits, and he's telling all these crazy stories, and I love the Raven interviews when he got let go from WWF, whether it be like the first two-parter that he did. There's like so many quotable lines because Raven's such a character. And then the 5 volumes of the Ring of Honor Secrets of the Ring. Obviously it's not a shoot interview per se, but you learn so much about wrestling, from it, even if you're not a wrestler, even if you're a fan. And Raven's one of those guys that like still thinks the business should be protected or whatever it is. So he definitely holds some stuff back, but he gives you just enough information to make people like me dangerous,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want I think there was a Sami Zayn one with Ariel Helwani, right? Over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Ariel Helwani, back when he covered UFC, was actually like a journalist, but now he's just less of it. He's a less hillbilly Sean Rice Stapp,
Yeah.
But all right,
thanks for stay warm, Kevin. Next call.
Hey Joe, hey Adam, it's Jayhawk. Hope you guys had a good week. So, point I was trying to make with the call I had last week that got cut off. Thanks, Adam.
Accidentally.
The main event of that first show that I went to was Haas and Terry Funk against King Tonga, substituting for Paul Orndorff and Junkyard Dog. So Haku / King Tonga was the first match I ever saw live and the first main event I ever saw live on the same show. And that particular show was on a Terry Tuesday. So I got to see Terry Funk in the main event on a Terry Tuesday at my first ever live show.
That's awesome.
Not a bit. Now, while I've got you guys on the phone, I am going to ask a couple of questions. I got one in particular for Joe and one in particular for Adam. So, Joe, I know it can be hard to narrow it down to just one, but what is your favorite Terry Funk moment? For me, gotta be winning the ECW title at Barely Legal. It's a great moment if you're a Terry Funk fan. And I'm a fan of the Flair matches in '89 as well, just fantastic matches. Adam, my question for you, I'm debating whether I want to put the money on the MLB extra innings package this year. And I'm kind of torn on it because I love baseball and the package lets me watch like pretty much every game I want. The downside is that even though I don't actually bother getting a big enough cable package to get the local sports channels, MLB doesn't care. They still black out the local games. So I still wouldn't really get to watch Guardians games on it without paying for my cable package. But I would get to watch all the other games and all the other teams. So convince me one way or another what I should do with that. All right, guys. Love you guys. Love the show. I'll take my answer on the podcast.
First of all, I do actually sincerely want to apologize to Jayhawk. I thought Joe had the ability to pause the voicemails last week, and I didn't mean to just not play it through, so I didn't know that. But Joe, your favorite Terry Funk match?
So again, match moment. You could split so many hairs on that. Like Terry's got so many great moments, but if I had to pick a match, it would be from Clash of Champions 10, New York Knockout, November 1989. Him and Ric Flair, I Quit match. It's maybe one of my top 10 matches of all time. That's my favorite Terry Funk match.
Gotcha. As far as the MLB package, it's tough for me to answer that because I do have the cable package that gives me the Yes Network, which carries pretty much every single Yankee game. And I think there's maybe 5 games a year that are on like Amazon Prime and another like 2 or 3 that are on Apple. And I figured out ways to steal those. So for me, I would rather, if I'm not watching a Yankee game, just put on the MLB Network and watch like their live look-ins. And that's a good enough fix for me. That would save me the money. But the more I think about it, Jayhawk, you're a Guardians fan, and Guardians fans don't actually start watching baseball until the playoffs start.
Oh.
So all those games are on free television anyway, so you have nothing to worry about.
That's so mean.
And true.
All right. It's pink button time. It's
all right.
Young Ed.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. This isn't my real call. Don't count this as a real call. I'm just super excited. Booster Gold, live action series. Yes. I'm so fucking stoked. This is my shit. Cole Sprouse. That's the perfect casting for it. Look up a picture of Cole Sprouse, Joe, so you can see. But imagine with blonde hair, because he has blonde hair. It's going to be dark hair because of Riverdale, but he has blonde hair. He's blonde, so it'll work. Cole Sprouse, perfect casting. Fuck yeah.
Is that the end of his call?
That's the end of his first call, yes.
All right, yeah. All right, I have many things I want to like. I want to talk about Booster Gold for the next 20 minutes, but I disagree with this casting because Booster Gold is a guy whose like life has gone in the wrong direction, and like he was a high school. Like he was a football star who fizzled out, and he was basically working a job as a janitor at the museum, like the Flash Museum, I think, in the future, right? But regardless, at a museum in the year 3000, and I always picture him as somebody who's like north of 30, who's kind of acting like a kid, but is past the point where he should be. So this dude you're showing me a picture of, he looks like he's like 17. And I think that's too young. Regardless of how old he is, he's got a very young face to him.
So here he is with blonde hair, which is, you know what?
Yeah, you're going to mess up your algorithm, but
that's all right.
I think that guy is way too young to play Booster Gold. I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with that statement. He looks like a little boy.
Yeah, that's not my Booster.
And he needs to be like beefier, I think. He needs to be bigger. And all the pictures, like there's one or two pictures where he's a blondie, where he's smiling. And like when I think Booster Gold, I think like that cheesy smile. I think the finger guns, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, I have been a Booster Gold fan. The very first time I saw the episode of Justice League Unlimited called The Greatest Story Never Told. And I think I watched that at the comic shop, like shortly after it originally aired. And when was Justice League Unlimited on TV?
Early 2000s?
Yes, like 2002, 2003, something like that. So I've been a huge Booster fan since then. And I've seen Booster done dirty in Smallville. I've seen an attempt at doing Booster Gold on Legends of Tomorrow. Maybe it would have worked out, but we'll never know. I want to see this done right. I have an emotional investment in it because I love the character. I have a financial investment because I have lots of high-grade graded copies of his early books. I want this to be a thing, so hopefully Jimmy Pistol doesn't fuck it up.
Bang, bang. Yeah, and again, this is a movie that's not going to be made for like another like 2 to 3 years. So maybe like Cole Sprouse can like cycle on some gas, smile a little bit more. You know, bulk up. He's 29 now. He'll be the age that you're looking for. I know you're looking for more late 30s than whatever. But I don't know. I'm not sold on this kid. I know Ed's picking him because he was on The Sweet Life with Zach and Cody. But other
Is
than
that Broski and Cody Rhodes' show?
Yes. All right. Thanks for your call, Ed.
Yeah.
Next call, it's Ed again.
Oh shit, drugs. Fuck, I'm really good about not coughing right away. That sucks. This sucks. God damn it, I'm so fucking bad now. Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. This one's mostly for Adam, because it's about sports. Adam, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, announces retirement. I'm gonna assume this one sticks, right? There's a quote, and I'm trying to find if he actually said it because I love it, where he basically is like, I thought I had what it took this year until we lost to the Browns, and then I realized I was probably in trouble. And that rules because the Cleveland Browns fucking suck so fucking bad. Never been to a Super Bowl, bunch of fucking losers. They have a statue to a quarterback that never went to a Super Bowl, ever. And then, listen, Browns fans are yelling at their radio right now and tell me about some quarterback from like the 1950s, and I don't give a shit. That's not really football. But, Adam, I just want to know your thoughts on this, because, like, I know people hate Tom Brady, but you gotta admit, he's the best ever, right? You gotta admit that, right? And I guess, like, just so Joe, you feel, like you're in this conversation, which of Terry Funk's retirements did you believe the most? Like, is there any that you bid on? Like, the one to be on the mat where you like, shit, this is it for Terry. I'm just curious. Okay, bye. I'm still so fucking mad I coughed.
All right. So I never liked Tom Brady, but it was because in addition to the rest of the league, he just owned my Steelers. And Ben beat him like twice maybe out of like 9 matchups, I think. It was lopsided. So like I just had this deep down hatred for Tom Brady. But at the same time, he is the greatest of all time. And nobody's going to come close to him. And if you are like, let's say you happen to be a fan of, I'll just pick like a random team, like let's say the Chiefs, and you're like, my quarterback is the greatest of all time because nobody has ever thrown for more yardage at home when the temperature is under 50 degrees and the wind's blowing to the east and we're playing somebody from the NFC South. Like in those situations, nobody's ever put up more stats. Like you're reaching. It's all about wins. It's all about playoff wins, and most importantly, it's all about Lombardi trophies. So I begrudgingly say Brady is the greatest of all time. And as far as like people, and I know exactly what you mean, Ed, whenever you point out that a certain fan base, their team has like no Super Bowl trophies or no like playoff wins. They always point to like these pre-merger championships, like, oh yeah, back when we were the Green Bay like Woodpackers, and the league wasn't formed yet, and it wasn't racially integrated, and we didn't have pads.
And yeah, we're wearing the leather helmets.
Yeah, they had the leather helmets, and like games were called on account of darkness. But like all of those, like we won 27 championships between the year 1815 and 1911, and those count just as much as the like a Super Bowl. They're just as meaningful, even though nobody saw them, and like people were like checking out of their factory job and then coming to the field to play after that. Like they weren't real athletes; they were just dudes. Like, come on, any of those old-timey black and white, like, if your game is narrated by somebody that sounds like they're in a Lucky Strikes commercial, that doesn't count. So if you don't have a Super Bowl, you don't have a championship. So if the Browns have a statue outside to somebody who played like pre-merger back when like they used to like draft players off the streets because everybody was off at the war. Like none of that shit counts. So enough with that. I agree with you, Ed. Sorry if I went on a rant.
I do like that we had two calls that had something to do with you about fake sports and something to do with me about Terry Funk.
That's a perfect way to keep us both entertained. I like.
That's right.
Oh, and I forgot he had a question for you.
I still think Terry's got one more match left in him. How do you like that?
I hope so. I mean, safely. But
somebody like Terry doesn't retire. No, there was a match, might have been like not Ring of Honor, but like one of those wrestling super shows where it was like Terry Funk and Dreamer against Lance Storm and Sean Waltman. And I believe that one was his last one. And then I think he had at least one more after that. I have to look this up now.
That's going to bother you.
It is going to bother me.
Can you believe, Joe, while you're looking that up, that people actually think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady? Like, man, that's such bias. I don't get that. Like, win more than one Super Bowl, and then they're going to win a second one in 2 weeks, and they'll be like, oh, see that? Two is better than 7. No, it's not. Anyways, as you were saying.
Okay, so hang on. Okay, so in 2013 at House of Hardcore, right? So it was Lance Storm and Waltman against Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer. Again, that was 2013. Okay, I thought that would have been Terry Funk's last match. Okay. He went to have one more match in Japan a year later, and I'll say, okay, that was maybe his Japanese retirement. I'll give him that. Then he did another match a year after that against Jerry Lawler, and that was a tribute show after Lance Russell had passed away. So I'm like, okay, that one gets a pass. It's Memphis, it's Lance Russell, it's whatever. And then Terry would come back one more time in 2017 to team up with the Rock and Roll Express to take on Jerry Lawler, Doug Gilbert, and Brian Christopher. So that actually in 2017 was Terry Funk's last match. So again, after the one that I thought was the real one in 2013, he did have 3 more after that. I thought it was only 2 more after that.
Okay. Can I ask you a Terry Funk question since we're at it? This actually popped into my head the other day because as you saw on Twitter, I bought another Terry Funk figure. We talked about it last week. And it got me to kind of thinking, after WCW went under, we never, as far as I know, we never saw Terry Funk on national wrestling television again. Would that be safe to say?
No. I think he might have like shown up to do a bit with Mick Foley, like when they gave Mick Foley the whatever, the hardcore title, when they retired the hardcore title. I think Terry Funk was on for that.
Okay, well, this is my actual question: was there heat, or did he hate Junior, or Junior hate him? Like, why didn't we ever get? And I'm not saying give us Terry Funk matches, but why didn't we ever have Terry Funk as like somebody's mouthpiece or just some type of on-screen personality?
That's a great question, and I could see it just because like Terry was old in 1998 in his last run. And I could see Vince just being like, yeah, it's too long. You know what, though? So you say this, and he did have a little bit of a run there in 06 when he came back and they did the ECW One Night Stand 06 match.
Okay.
And that was it.
I don't remember that one spot. But, I mean, there could have been somebody who just, a big dummy who can't talk. They could have stuck with Terry Funk, I'm just thinking of like when they stuck Sean O'Hare with Roddy Piper, like things like that, even though that didn't last long. I always feel like I'm looking for managers to come back, and Terry Funk just seems like a voice that could have been used over those years,
As much as I love Terry, I don't think Terry would have been a good manager. Terry was more so about getting himself over on the mic and getting his opponent over in the ring. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Terry would be in a great position to be like, I'm going to talk up this new kid and make you think he's $1 million. Terry'd be like, well, the only way I could do it is get in the ring and put the kid over myself,
Gotcha. All right, I was just curious, just something that popped into my head. You got me thinking about Terry Funk on random days where I'm not doing the show, and that's scary.
Should always be thinking about Terry Funk.
All right. What else?
We got one last call from Ed.
Hey, Joe and Adam, it's Ed. One last time. I'm sitting here at Ronald's place. I thought it'd be nice to get my dog some nuggies. And then they made me pull forward and wait for them. And, oh, wait. Oh, here they are. Yeah. All right, thank you. Oh, Joe, I'm calling because, I didn't know the going rate for new podcasts was $100,000, so I'm going to need $100,000 to do the Young Guys Show. Sounds good, and you can talk to my agent, Leonard X. Carson, about this. Okay, bye.
In Ed's case, it might be worth the investment. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. And hey, Ed, I'll tell you this, and this is a point of for everyone else out there. We've had discussions on some of the other shows of my co-host Todd giving me shit for ordering with the app for a lot of the fast food places. Mm-hmm. McDonald's app is the best. It works the most, and you get tons of rewards.
Okay.
Randomly, you'll just get a thing that'll pop up that just says, hey, go there today and just get a free 6-piece nugget. Or hey, go there today and get a free small fry or whatever it is, right? So if you're just going there to get shit for your dog like Ed is, or if you're just a regular McDonald's person, their rewards rack up real quick, and they're always giving you free shit through the app. Pretty much all the other fast food companies' apps suck.
Yeah, this is the part of the show where we shoot on fast food apps, right? Because bang. I would have you play the all heat, no heaters, but don't do it. The only app I use, I don't do a lot of fast food, but the thing I do is Dunkin' Donuts. For whatever, almost every single day that I leave my house, I stop at Dunkin'. And I can make coffee at home, I get that, but I always stop at Dunkin'. Maybe I get food, and I use the app. And the app, you just link to your card, you put money on it, whatever. And the deal always was, yes, you could order it in advance and do the walk up and all that, but there was a certain algorithm that after you spent X amount of money, you just got a free coffee. And it didn't matter if it was I get an extra large, or if you wanted a large, whatever. It was just your next coffee is free. And that was the deal. So it might have been 1 out of every 6 coffees. And then 2 months ago, they switched it to, well, we're going to get rid of the free coffee thing, and we're going to have random daily changing things, but it's always shit that I don't want. It's always if you order ahead on Mondays, you get a free small coffee with the purchase of a breakfast sandwich. How does this fucking help me? Just give me my free coffee back. And I feel like I need to go back to just using my card, because then they get charged the check lane tender, which is the whole reason for these apps. I don't know if you realize that. It gets them around having to pay Visa and MasterCard and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's why if you go to Best Buy or you go to Target, they want you to get their credit card, because when you use their credit card, they don't have to pay a percentage of the sale to MasterCard, American Express, whatever. So that's the whole point of these apps, is you put the money directly on the app from your checking account, and then when you pay Dunkin', they don't lose that fee. So like I'm thinking of going back to just being like, here's my credit card, take it off of that, and you're going to lose that whole 1/10 of a cent. But if I do this a million times over the course of the next 10 years, I'll show you. But yeah, man, I'm pissed off about Dunkin'.
Yeah, I didn't like to change myself. My wife is more of a Dunkin' person than I am. It's like she'll go because there's like 2 on the way from here to where she works. And from where I go to where I work, there's no Dunkin' Donuts in my house.
There's at least 2 Dunkins in every direction I go from my house. Like I have to I can swing a dead cat and I'll hit a Dunkin'.
Right, but I obviously because everything's connected to me, I'm the one who gets the notifications for the rewards as I'm looking here at the bowl licking brownie batter signature latte, or they've really been pushing the Dunkin' midnight flavor, right?
Yeah.
And all these different things, stuffed biscuit bites, and all this other bullshit. So I get you. I remember when it changed things over. I liked the old way, and I'm sure if I used it more, I would be more upset about the change.
Yeah, like I said, it's the only food app that's on my phone. It's probably the only one I've ever used. But
yeah, I got a bunch.
Yeah, but Ed, you might not get the 100,000 from us, but I think you're worth it, buddy.
Right, Ed's at least worth 200,000.
I thought you were gonna say $200.
No, at least 200,000.
Yeah.
So I got no weekly purchases because I've been locked out of my Twitter for the last week, and part of the thing is I can't I have access to my DMs, but I can't send pictures or screenshots through my DMs. So anytime that I was sending something, I had to send a link to the tweet that I wanted everyone to see and laugh at, as opposed to a screenshot of it. So I have no deleted screenshots this week.
That's a shame. I obviously I have access to my Twitter because I'm not mean on Twitter. I did sell a bunch of other stuff on my eBay, so I'm doing some more exporting. Sold a couple more Funko Pops, so you'll be happy to hear about that. Did buy a couple, but that's a different story. But Joe, I think again this seems to be the segment where I put this I purged a lot of folks from the Adam Van Special Top 10 over the last couple weeks, and I'm proud to announce that's right. We're about to enshrine somebody new into the Adam Van Special Top 10. And Joe, entering the top 10 at number 9, well, there's no particular order, but I still have one vacancy. After reconvening with the Council of Greece, I am enshrining Maki Ito into my top 10.
Oh, okay.
The cutest wrestler in the world, as she says, and I feel like she's deserving after making waves not only in Japan and the United States and AEW, also she's gang affiliated now, according to Nick Gage. I think it's time for Maki Ito to ascend into the top 10.
Well, I'm sure she'd be happy to hear that.
I believe so as well. So welcome aboard.
The Council of Greece, eh?
Yeah. I've assembled a brain trust to help me with these things.
No, I saw that screenshot. Here, you say whatever you want, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, that's all I got for weekly purchases.
Yeah, so hey, before we get into weekly purchase, of course, you can help out the show by signing up for independentwrestling.tv, aka Jerry's Internet Wrestling Emporium. Use the promo code @odds if you're a new subscriber. They're gearing up for what they're doing for WrestleMania weekend. They're not going out to the West Coast. They're staying out here on the East Coast. They've been adding a lot of older stuff in the recent weeks. Definitely go check out what is available over there. And like I said, if you're a new subscriber, use the promo code @odds and you stick with them. We get a little bit of a kickback. The TeePublic sale is next week, so we'll push that then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all we got in this plug segment.
Yeah, before you get into that, I'll just say there's some podcasts you should listen to. And those podcasts are Long Box Heroes, Final Wrestling Place, We Need Wrestling, Porch Talk, Viewer's Choice, Wrestling Cheers, Indie Wrestling Guide, Wings on Wings, Between the Sheets, If You Catch My Grift. And Joe, watch this space because there might be a new podcast or two from some familiar voices showing up shortly. Maybe on the soon-to-be-named network. Maybe behind a paywall. But more on that as it comes along.
Oh, another instance of Adam going to business for himself.
I love a good opportunity, you know?
Oh, is it the Grease cast with the Council of Grease?
No, as much as you say I'm uncancelable, I don't want to test that.
All right. It's behind a paywall. No one could hear it, you know?
Yeah, people, there are snitches all over the place.
That is true.
But some might cost a little. Some might cost a lot. But I'm the $100 Vansky. And your figures will be bought. So, Joe, another week, I'm sure, heavy week for you and light week for me, as it always seems to be.
No, it's just the opposite. I only purchased one thing, and that was and I'm just trying to see if I could find the link. Jay Briscoe, his family and community and so forth, they did a shirt to memorialize him. I'm sure you could find the link online.
Yeah, I think I saw it in our group chat. It was cool.
Yeah. So I like that one a little bit better. I know DJ's like, it's a Gildan tee, and I'm like, I don't know, I like this design better, and I feel as though more of the money would go here to help Jay's family than it would be if I was buying the Pro Wrestling Tees one. That's just me. But yeah, if you search online, you can find it. I think the site is sports with a Z, tees with an S.com. And you could find it there if you search Jamin Pugh, JaminPugh. I am kicking the tires on the Vinegar Syndrome Wrestling with Shadows documentary release.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't want to blow up their spot, but I mean, this is more of like an independent press, right?
Yeah, Vinegar Syndrome does like boutique versions. Typically they do like more horror and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, Joe, like, you can't rely on that being there 2 months from now.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I think it's limited to however many pieces, and it's 2,000 units. It went up on Tuesday, and it's already down to 700.
Oh, you need to buy it. Treat yourself.
So here's the problem, Adam. I don't have a Blu-ray player.
All right. You don't have a PlayStation 5?
I have an Xbox 360.
Yeah, that won't. Not only that'll play DVDs.
No, the disc drive on that broke about 2 years ago.
I'm sure at some point you'll own a Blu-ray player.
I'm thinking about just buying it just to have it. You know?
Yeah, physical media is king, man. Just put that up on a shelf, keep it sealed until one day you decide to bust it open.
Yeah.
I think you got to do it. Honestly, like, I'm not the biggest Bret Hart fan. I do appreciate him, but if I was a Bret Hart fan, I'd be all over that.
Right.
You know, I just feel like the limitedness of the release, and like I was reading all the things that were included, like it seems like a pretty sweet set.
Yeah, absolutely. Still kicking the tires on it. Like, the whole thing is like, I'm buying a Blu-ray and I don't have a Blu-ray player.
Yeah, but you're buying a collectible that you can put up on the shelf.
That is true.
And you are a collector. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. Joe, I purchased on Entertainment Earth, and I'm going to just send a quick picture to you. I am not a pin guy, a guy who collects pins, but Entertainment Earth put up this set of Soundwave pins, and it comes in like a little display box. And if you look at the picture I sent you, I just think the box looks cool because it's like Japanese and it looks kind of like it's an import. And they only made like 1,000 of the pins, which is a lot. But, you know, I just thought it was cool. It was very inexpensive, and I liked the presentation of it, you know?
I like that it says plus special guests.
Yeah, and it's it's Laserbeak and Ravage. So yeah, it's just a cool little set, and it was less than $20. So I jumped all over that. One other thing, if you remember last week, I talked about, or maybe a week before, I talked about buying the Marvel Legends Walgreens Sentry figure. You know, and you were saying,
the one that doesn't look like Brian Myers, right?
Yeah. And I took a picture and I posted comparing it to my Marvel Legends one from back in like 2006. I don't know
the one that does look like Brian Myers.
Exactly. And for whatever reason, I completely forgot. And I remembered this back in the day, but I kind of like let it slip my memory that 2006 Marvel Legends figure was one of 4 different variants of that figure. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I was not.
So, and I'm going to send you, I actually purchased another 2006 Marvel Legends Sentry figure. But what they did is they basically did a Golden Age Sentry and a Modern Age Sentry.
Okay.
Because if you remember, the bit for the Sentry was that he was around since the Golden Age. It's just the Void erased everybody's memory of him.
Right,
so, like,
we were made to forget him, yes.
Exactly. So there was kind of like, obviously the modern Sentry is in yellow and the old, like the Golden Age, is in like a mustard color.
Right.
The mustard one has a short hair and no beard. And obviously the modern age has long hair and a beard. And then there were other versions where they just accidentally swapped those heads. Well, accidentally in air quotes. So
Right.
It's like, the old body with a new head and vice versa. I'm not interested in those. I just wanted to get the Golden Age version because I thought it looked cool next to the modern one.
Yeah, definitely.
So, other than that, there were some Target pre-orders that went up this week. I did pre-order the Legends 18 Paul E. Dangerously figure. I don't know if anything in that Legends line popped you. That was the one with like D'Lo and the Head Shrinkers, and I think
another Hogan. I think
it was WCW Hogan.
Yeah, like the Head Shrinkers are cool. Don't need them. Paulie's cool. Don't need it. D'Lo's cool. Don't need them. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of like when they announced the Legends 19 last week. I was like, nothing for me, but you wanted Brucey.
Oh, I got to get my Brucey.
Yeah, so this is I needed this Heyman from when they announced, even though it's obviously Paul E. Dangerously, it's like WCW, but it comes with an ECW hat, which is such a mashup, but I needed it. I also pre-ordered the Target exclusive Ultimate Bret Hart, the Mr. Hitman.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's something that's on your radar or not. I pre-ordered 2 of them. I actually, not because I want to, but I was just like, I got the Ultimate Paulie and 2 Bretts at the same time, just because I'm like, I know my luck that one of, like, if I just ordered one, it would be in bad shape and I'd have to go and like hunt another one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I could just pick out the better one, just return the other one, or if they're both nice. I know Mr. Tim claims that he's going to roll the dice on finding one in the wild, but I can always be his plan B if this happens, you know?
Yep, for sure.
And the last thing I bought is in the major group. Do you remember when they did those? They were meant to look like little Hasbros, but they were pins. And I guess this is a big pin week for me. But they did those 3 for $10s where it was like you have to buy, like it was like if you want the Broski, you have to buy the Knick and the Stang, and if you want the Brian, you have to buy the Swoggle and the I don't know, Joe Shoes or whatever. Do you remember those pin sets?
I do.
Yeah. So somebody actually put up a bunch of them, and it was missing like your Broski and Myers. And I'm not a pin collector, but he was basically selling them for $5 shipped a piece. So I grabbed the Smart Mark, and I was like, okay, I'll just add this to my burgeoning Marquee collection. It was $5. Who cares, you know?
Right.
And I looked on eBay, and they're selling for maybe like $20. So I was like, I got a good deal. I can't resist a good deal. So as I'm getting ready to check out or just pay him, he's like, oh, anything else I have that you might want? And I'm like, I don't know, I could take a look. So I'm just kind of looking through his Facebook, and I'm going to send you a picture. You don't care about the pin, so I'm not going to send you a picture of that, but I'm going to send you a picture of the other thing I bought from him, and I want to get your reaction.
Oh, hey. PSA graded.
Yes, sir. Nothing but authentic for me.
Is that what titles are those?
Those. So this is not an 8x10, but an 11x14 PSA graded autographed photo of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and I believe those are the women's tag team titles, like the early version.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get a look at them, and it's like I said, it's tough. But yeah, that's a cool shot. Like I said, PSA graded. Can't beat that.
Yep. And like again, this was I forget exactly, but I think like $20. So for an 11x14 that's graded, it would have cost you more than $20 to grade it. So that's the way I look at things. So, and I can add it to my burgeoning Grease 8x10 and photo collection. My goal is to no longer have a Grease shelf, Joe, but to have a Grease wing of the house.
Yeah.
That I can lock behind a door and pretend that like people that is not there.
You ever hear of the movie The Greasy Strangler?
No.
Might want to look into that one.
Oh, all right. But that's it for me. A relatively light week of purchases for me.
All right. Well, Adam, we're going to close out the show the same way that we started the show.
All heat, no heaters.
So, just as, with this recording, the clock is ticking for me to get full access to my Twitter account back. We have lost complete access to our Amazon affiliate link this week.
Yep.
So about a month ago, I get the notification that my account is in danger due to issues with links that were in an article that I wrote up about Rob Liefeld, a.k.a. The Rob, summarizing how he had a falling out with his webmaster, podcast host, whatever, bought like podcast.robliefeld.com, and then when he set up the new feed and the new stuff, he forgot to do the redirect for the new feed to the site that he's paying for, which is just sitting there and hasn't been updated since September, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did my write-up, and I get pinged for that. They tell me, whatever, fix this. I fix it. I did their online talk, like their chat, and they're like, did you do this? Did you do this? Are you using the links that we provide you? Yes, 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 yes. Everything from there. And I still have this big red box sitting on top of our like earnings thing that I check. And it was sitting there for like 2 weeks. And the thing is like, oh, we're going to email you back in like 2 to 3 days. Never get an email back, right? Checking my spam folder, everything. Nothing comes through, right?
Yep.
So then after 2 weeks, the box goes away. Like, okay, I didn't hear anything from anyone. The box went away. Everything seems to be fine, right? So I wake up Monday, and there's an email that came through at 5:45 that says our account has been closed. Due to, apparently, even though I was using the links that they had provided for us to put on our site and so forth, we were supposed to be using links that instead of just taking someone to Amazon and they could search, it was supposed to take them to a specific item. And then from that specific item page, they were supposed to do the search, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck is this? All right, well, whatever. Like, we had it for however long we did. Obviously, longer on the comic book show than on this show. Whatever. And it says, because your account has been closed, any commissions that you had outstanding, you will not be receiving. And I'm like, that fucking sucks. That's November, that's December, that's January. We're losing out on that, right?
Yeah.
So then, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I get the email notification that says my November commission has been sent. And I go check my bank account, and it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I had already submit an appeal to them on Monday. They're like, if you feel that this was done in error, you could submit an appeal. You'll hear back from us in 1 to 2 days. Adam, you're going to be surprised. I haven't heard back from anybody when I sent the appeal reply on Monday. So I sent another appeal reply on Wednesday. I'm probably going to send another appeal reply on Friday. I'm going to keep sending appeal replies until I get a reply from them officially, finally telling me to fuck off.
Yeah. That's so like, let me, obviously I've heard this story over on After Dark, in the correct listening order. So the only thing I'm curious about, so the link that we had just brought you to an Amazon's, like the homepage, the splash page.
Correct.
If we had just provided a link to let's say just an Amazon Alexa device, and then it's like, here's a link to the Alexa Echo show, whatever. And then you as the consumer said, okay, I'm on Amazon. I'm going to now go and search for these, like, whatever, these pants I need, the sneakers. At that point, we would not have been violating the rules. Is that correct?
Apparently.
Like, because then we as the fucking sponsor, or whatever they say we are, the advertisers, we're basically saying, buy this Amazon Alexa. But then you would kind of wink, and you would know you can go and buy whatever you want. Correct. And then that would have been fine. That makes no sense. Like, why? I don't know.
Right. It makes no sense. And we had been doing it this way for the comic book show for 9 years. No problems, no issues, no nothing. But all of a sudden, they just decided, and again, I'm not going to call it any other podcast. We talked about it on After Dark this week. But there's not a ton of podcasts that use this anymore, just because it gets to be such a pain in the ass like this. And there is one site, there was one podcast that I listened to on their Amazon affiliate thing. It says Amazon, but when you click on it, it takes you to one of two items. And I will say it's a book that one of the co-hosts wrote, and the other one is to stream a movie that the other co-host directed, okay?
Yeah.
So it's very directly tied into the show that I listen to. But then I looked at two other shows that I don't listen to, and their link just takes you to the same spot that ours took you to. The front page of Amazon, but with, like, their little coding in it for them getting the credit.
Gotcha. So, like, if hypothetically, let's say our Amazon was to return from the ashes, whether it be the old one or, just another one popping up, just through other means, all we have to do is just say, hey, this is our thing. These are the lights that I bought on Amazon for my DTOFs that I really recommend. And then we put the link up to those, and then you can do whatever you want from there.
Correct.
Okay. It's a shitty, unnecessary step, but hey, whatever.
Whatever.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about it? Because obviously it's dumb, but
that sucks. It was a shitty way to start the week.
Yeah, I always like when I get the email from you where it's like me and Todd, and it says, I just want to tell both of you in an email now. I'm like, oh God, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, is somebody suing the soon-to-be-named network? Like, I immediately think of, like, I'm in trouble.
Well, it was something you said on the episode a couple weeks ago. I had $100,000 set aside to pay Ed to do his podcast, but it's all eaten up by your lawsuit for whatever the fuck it was that you said 2 weeks ago on the podcast.
Oh, God damn it. We're going to have to possibly, like, figure out another way to monetize this podcast then. We have to make up that $100,000. Right. We have to make up the Amazon link, at least for however long it's down. But, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll maybe, put some stuff behind a paywall or something. I'll just think about it. I don't know.
Okay.
But I think that's it for me, Joe.
Yeah, that's all I got as well. All right, closing this out, and we came in like way under.
Yeah, it was a short show. There was no homework. That's what it was.
It was a short show I think we spent like 90 minutes on the Royal Rumble, though. So
yeah,
it evens out. But yeah, so thank you everyone for listening to episode 227 of At Odds with Wrestling. For Adam, this is Joe saying, be safe out there and enjoy some wrestling.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.